Hello family from the Russell side, the Russell clan, my grandmother Charlene Russell Williamson. I'm at the grave of Isaac Russell Jr. I'm out here outside of Bidwell, Ohio in Gallia County. Very, very rural area. Got to go down gravel roads to get to this cemetery. This is Isaac Russell Jr. Of course, we all know Lafayette. His father was Andrew Jackson Russell, went by Jack. This is Jack's father, Isaac. Isaac was born, I think, in 1825, but he did join the Civil War. He was with the 173rd Ohio Volunteer Infantry. His unit was sent to Nashville, where he guarded Nashville for most of the war, and he was at the battle in Nashville in 1865 in the fall. After the war ended, he was able to be mustered out. He went down, he moved back up here, you know, took a wife. His first wife, Miss Conkle, died in 1860, so we don't know if she's buried here or not. I haven't been able to find her. And then his second wife died many years after he died in 1897, and she's buried in another town here in Gallia County, but she's not our grandmother. Isaac's right here. His parents are said to be here too. Isaac Sr. Isaac Sr., they came from the Yadkin Valley in North Carolina. His mother's Rhoda Hoppus is supposed to be here as well. I haven't been able to find their graves. Chances are they're just small stones that are not marked. They're neat people because Isaac Sr. got a Revolutionary War land grant from his father, Enoch, which we're going to go to his grave shortly. His father Enoch, who fought in the Revolution at the Battle of Camden and the Battle of Guilford Courthouse. His wife Rhoda, Isaac Jr.'s mother, Rhoda Hoppus, her father was Heinrich Hoppus, who was a neat guy himself, immigrated from Germany in the around 1740s, and then went to Pennsylvania, with so many of the other Germans were there as well. Settled in Pennsylvania, and then moved on down to the Yadkin Valley as well. Heinrich Hoppus did actually serve in the Revolutionary War too. So what's cool about Isaac here is that both of his grandparents, his mother's father and his father's father, both are Revolutionary War veterans. So that's pretty cool. And this guy here is the grandfather of our Leif. So Leif was, I guess, his great-great-grandson of Revolutionary War veterans himself. Not to mention, of course, he was in World War I too. So, neat little stop out here. It's a beautiful cemetery. As you can see, it's very peaceful and quiet. It's a pretty large cemetery that's way out in the country. Like I said, outside of Bidwell in Gallia County, Ohio. So, I'm going to move on down the line. Over here is his headstone for his Civil War service over here, so right next to him. Until we'll talk to you soon. All right, Russell side cousins, Russell clan. We're at our progenitor here, Enoch Russell's grave. Enoch was the very first Russell to come here to Ohio, southeastern Ohio. Enoch was born in 1760 in Essex County, Virginia. His family shortly then moved into the Yadkin Valley area in North Carolina, where he lived with his family. He also, Enoch married there. Enoch joined the Revolutionary War. Enoch enlisted twice. The first time he was in the Battle of Camden in South Carolina. Very, very popular battle. We've got lots of information. The second time he was in the Battle of Guilford Courthouse in North Carolina. So after he was discharged, he re-enlisted again. So that's pretty awesome. Not only is he a American patriot, but he enlisted twice, you know, inside there. He was given a Revolutionary War land grant, and his family moved up here to Ohio. It seems like they've done fairly well, because all around me back here are Russells. You can see there's big headstones behind me. There's huge headstones right there. All these people are Russells. There are our family, our aunts, uncles, cousins, and such. Andrew Jackson, his grandson, is Leif's father. I'm going to go to his grave next, but we just came from Isaac, his son Isaac Russell's gravesite too, and Isaac Jr. So this is Enoch. He is my fifth great-grandfather. He makes him really your fourth or third great-grandfathers. Grandma, I guess, Charlene, that makes him your third great-grandfather. Next to him over here is Ruth Riddle, his wife. She has a flat headstone. You see there are other flat headstones around. She was from the Yadkin Valley as well, in North Carolina, where her family settled there. So this is one of my favorite ancestors. I do have his pension records. He was granted a $10 a month pension. He received $10 a month when he was in old age for his service in the Revolutionary War, and after he died, his wife Riddle got a raise. She got $20 a month of a pension. But he's one of my favorite ancestors that we have because I have so much information about his service. When he applied for his pension, he gave us all the details of his service and his statement in front of the courts, which was very normal. So we've got quite a bit of information about this actual patriot right here. So very proud of that, and you should be too. So I guess we'll take off and we'll go see old Jack Russell's grave next. Oh, I wanted to say, look around here where we're at. It's very, very rural. I'm on the top of a hillside. Had to go up miles and miles of gravel roads. Not even sure if I'm in Benton County, Jackson County. I don't think I'm in Meigs County, Gallia County. We went multiple gravel roads. It was only about 13 miles here, but it took about 35 minutes to get here, and I don't drive too very slow. So anyway, wanted to show you where Enoch's buried. Somebody we're very proud of, a real American patriot. Hey, those from the Russell clan, I'm over here in Nye Cemetery. Nye Cemetery is in Chauncey, Ohio, which is about 5 miles north of Athens, Ohio. I'm at the graves at the cemetery where William Spires and Eliza Jane Skinner Spires are said to be buried. It is we see on both of their death certificates that they're supposed to be buried here. My son Fuzz and I walked the entire cemetery looking for the headstones, but as you can see behind me, a lot of the headstones are completely demolished. For those of you that don't know who William Spires and Eliza Jane Skinner Spires are, we have our grandfather Lafayette, Leif. His dad Andrew Jackson went by Jack Russell, and the other thing we see is his mother is Mary Jane Spires Russell, who married Jack. And of course her parents are William and Eliza Jane. So they are my third great grandparents. We actually have photographs of them, but I cannot find their headstone. Chances are they may not have even had a headstone. They did not move here to this area until sometime between 1900 and 1910. They lived their whole lives. They were born in 1824 and 1835, I think. They're born in Gallia County, lived in Gallia almost their whole lives. Find very detailed records. Then we see that they lived in Benton County for a couple of years, as did a lot of our Russell ancestors. Late in life, when they're up in years, William was in his 80s. They moved over here. It's because two of their sons and one of their daughters' husbands took jobs as coal miners over in this area. That's how they ended up meeting the other side, our Hogue side, which is our Leif's wife, Mary. She was a tanner and her mother was a Hogue. They're all from Morgan County. We're going to go over there next, but anyway, probably won't be able to find their graves ever. We walked through every one of them. As you can see, a lot of them are sandstone and completely busted. That one's got a hole in it, so hopefully we'll be able to see that. I'm not sure. We do know that William Spires' grandfather, John Spires, was also a Revolutionary War vet. William's dad is named John, my fourth great grandfather, and he used his father's Revolutionary War land grant with his father, who's also John. They both were born in Maryland. So William that's buried here is our first Spires ancestor living in Ohio, and of course he was born in Ohio in 1824, so deep roots. Another thing to note, when I was in Athens, lots of things are Russell this, Russell that. We saw the Russell building, Russell's remodeling, we saw Russell's Russell Road, not too far from here. So we know we have lots of people in the area. So anyway, let's go check out the Hogue side of our family. One more thing of note is that William Spires, who's buried here, is the first generation to be buried or to be born here in Ohio. He was born in 1824 in Gallia, Ohio, but his father, whose name was John Spires, lived. He was born in Maryland, and his father, John Sr., was a Revolutionary War veteran, had served in Maryland. Detailed records about his pension and things that are out there. So this gentleman here, William Spires, his grandfather was a Revolutionary War veteran, and they reused their, like so many people in southeastern Ohio, western Virginia, and even in Kentucky, used their Revolutionary War land grants to be here. So little look at the cemetery here at Nye. You can see it's a fairly large cemetery up to the road there. Some very nice headstones here, but mixed in with some of the older ones are some really, really rough headstones that are just completely demolished. You can't read them at all. So unfortunate, but that's part of it, and we'll honor them just the same. Hey Russell Clan, this is Russ here again. I'm actually in Trimble. I'm on Maple Street in Trimble. You see is a brick road. This is where Leif and Mary lived in 1930 with 5 of their kids. Aunt Thelma was 2.5 years old when they lived here. They lived in 2 locations. 1920 they were living with Mary's mother, which is on another street, Center Street. But 1930 they lived right here with 5 of their children. Leif was a coal miner. This was right before they moved up to Ohio. Anyway, this guy in the truck is looking at me wondering what in the world I'm doing. The house numbers are different. They say like 19,000 and change, and the house that Leif and Mary lived on was 28. So I can kind of see where that is somewhat down here, and if I can get close, I'll try to get a picture. But anyway, this is the street right here in Trimble where one of our Russell people are from. It's kind of rough and run down, really rough trailers down there with rebel flags and stuff like that in there. But sometimes that's some of our people. So anyway, I'll take you to the next spot. All right, guys. I went down to the other end of the road here. As you can see, I shot that from the other end down there. I'm at the other end. It does come to a dead end. That house right there is 24. Our ancestors was at 28. So I don't know if this road just when it continued on a little bit this way and their house was there. I would venture that's probably the case. This lady on the porch is looking at me. I have to wave to her. So, but I'm guessing that their house would have sat probably about right here, I guess, is where that would have been. So 28 doesn't appear to be there anymore. Houses are a little bit better up here on top. You see a few trailers down there. It's not bricked road right here, but still a neat little town. The guy, I talked to one of the neighbors down there, saw me filming. He said that definitely coal country back in the day, and pretty much everybody had moved out, but obviously not everybody. So see you at the next spot. So the lady up on the hill that was staring at me there says that 28 was right here. Her and her husband bought this piece of property right there and tore a house down. So she said she thought that it was 28. That's across the street. I'm not sure she's right, but she said she thinks it's 28. Either way, they lived right here. Aunt Thelma, when she was just a little baby, probably learned to walk right down this street. So that's pretty cool, huh? Off to the next stop. All right, guys. Now I'm over here on Center Street. Behind me is West Side Church of Christ, probably a landmark that would have been here. Leif and Mary, when they were very first married, just for a few years, right after Leif got back from World War I, they lived right here and on Center Street in Trimble. They lived with Mary Ella Hogue Tanner, which would have been Mary, Grandma Russell's mother. They lived with her here on this street. We don't know the address because often back then they did not have a street address. It just says Center Street. There's lots of other houses that were on there. You can see there's a bridge. We're completely on the opposite end of town. I think it was 0.7 miles from the other part of town there, the little town of Trimble. One thing I forgot to mention is the sign when we came into town said Trimble, home of bricks. You can see that a lot of the roads were brick there in town, and somewhere the asphalt was busted off and you see brick there. So anyway, somewhere along this road here, don't know where. Imagine it's probably not too very far that way because we're out in the country here just after you make that bend. And there's a little bridge in the creek right there. So somewhere very close by is where Leif and Mary first lived when they were first married. So pretty cool. So on to the next stop. Hey Russell cousins, I'm at the gravesite of Isaac Hogue. Isaac is my 4th great-grandfather. If you want to trace it back, of course you've got Leif and Mary, and Mary's mother was Mary Ella Hogue, and her father was Hugh Hogue, and his father is Isaac Hogue, who we are at his grave right now. Isaac was born in 1801 and he died in 1889. His wife is on the back. Lavina McGlumphy is around the back here. And Isaac's son, Hugh Hogue, and his wife, Rachel Grigsby, are said to be buried here as well. Fuzz and I scoured the whole cemetery. We don't find a gravestone for them. But we do see on his death certificate that he's supposed to be buried here as well too. We are in Bishopville Cemetery. It's just a little map dot right outside of Bishopville. We're right on the border of Morgan County and Athens County. Matter of fact, over the hill right there is the county line that we crossed. I mean, we're not, I literally can throw a rock and hit it, but literally. But anyway, Isaac and his family moved, I think about 1852 or 1853 from Rich Hill. It's in Greene County, Pennsylvania. The whole family moved, all of him and his children and some of his brothers and their families moved right here to this area of Morgan and Athens County. They lived here their whole lives until then. So anyway, it's a pretty neat cemetery. As you can see, it's a nice one. Not uncommon. I had to park in someone's driveway. The guy came and asked me why I was doing back here, and I had to tell him what we were doing, but there's nowhere to park. It's just a sloped hillside in the road right there. So one more thing to note about Isaac is his family, his father, Thomas Hogue, was born in Pennsylvania, but if you go back a couple more generations and you go back to what's my 8th great-grandfather, which I guess would make him his great-grandfather, is William Hogue. He immigrated in the late 1600s. William Hogue was a Jacobite. You can do some research on what a Jacobite is. They supported King James, or against the crown. They were from Scotland and believed that King James and King Charles were the rightful heirs to the throne. There's a whole nother story there, but he was captured, he's known as a rebel, kicked out of Scotland, sent to Virginia, and there's lots of information out there about William Hogue and his wife Barbara Hume. There's a church in Virginia where they're buried outside, and they have their own large headstone there, and it's a well-known story. There's so many of us that are descended from them. So anyway, sign off for now, guys, and this is the end of my trip. We've been to multiple cemeteries. I'll try to string this together, and hope you guys have a great day. Love y'all. Bye-bye. Oh yeah, one more thing, guys. I wanted to tell you, it might be a little noisy with the cars going back and forth here, but a lot of it, I've always thought that our Russell family came from, this area here, Trimble, Gloucester, all that kind of stuff, and they do. But it's actually Leif's wife, Mary's family. Mary Tanner, the Hogues, her family are the ones that are from the Trimble, Gloucester, Western Morgan County. Our Russell ancestors, he was born in Vinton County, and going back even farther, they're in Gallia County there for a long time. After World War I, he did come over here to Trimble, where one of his brothers, himself, and a brother-in-law were working as coal miners. It's about, I looked it up, from where he lived in Elk Township in Vinton County, out of, I think it's McConnellsville. Anyway, it looks like it's about 33 miles or so. So 30 to 40 miles is where the Russells come from, and then he moved over here. So anyway, just wanted to bring that up one last time, and I'll talk to you guys later. Love y'all. See ya. Bye-bye.